Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you may be in the world. Welcome to Thoughtful Nuggets and Pearls on Gift of Healing TV. I'm Sarah Jane, and for this program, I am delighted to welcome back to Gift of Healing TV, Leslie Rowans. Leslie, thank you for joining me for this program.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. The topic of this program is Healing the Luminous Energy Field, LEF, from trauma. And I think, Leslie, I like my guests for these programs to choose their own topic. So, Leslie, can I ask you, for those who are not sure what the luminous energy field is, would you like to explain, give it a little idea of what it is?
Sure, of course. So the luminous energy field that we refer to, LEF, is also the light body or halo or aura. Some people may know it as an aura around you, and it's really a matrix that envelops and informs of all living beings. And it organizes the body the same way, just as, you know, if you were iron fillings that are organized by a magnet. And so that's what we typically refer to as our aura or our energy or our light body. And you can also see it too around people. And it's shaped like kind of like a donut with a narrow access or tunnel. We call that the torus. And it's like less than a molecule thick in the center. And it's perceived as an aura of energy and light that's translucent, multicolored bubble, if you will. And it extends about a height of our arms held above our head, and a width of outstretched arms, and down about a foot. And the energy, the luminous energy field, is in continual flow, as well as like flowing clockwise around the body. There is also a vertical flow up and down through the spinal cord and down into the earth, re-entering the body through the feet. So that is kind of how I would explain it.
Excellent. So aura, absolutely understand that word. Because I've worked in fairs and events, and people have been there actually with cameras that can photograph people's aura. And then the lady that taught me Reiki, she can actually see auras. And so what she will do is, rather than the photograph, she has a sort of like an outline of a body, and she can put the colors that are in your aura at that point in time. I must admit, I was always thought, oh, I'd love to see somebody have their aura photographed before having some sound energy from me, and then see what it would be like following the sound energy, and just see how much of a difference it can make. And we've definitely said sort of healing it from trauma, and bearing in mind that there's an aspect of what I do in my work that supports people to heal that inner child trauma. It would be fascinating to see, because absolutely I can get that as our chakras, our energy centers can be disturbed by what's going on in our lives. So, of course, can our aura and our luminous energy field.
Absolutely. It's a reservoir of our vital force. It's a sea of living as our health, as oxygen and nutrients carried, you know, by the bloodstream. And these energies are the purest and most precious fuel for life. And when the vital force reserves are depleted, either through illness or environmental conditions, pollutants, or stress, we suffer disease. So, it's really an amazing concept in terms of how we live our lives, how we age, how we heal, and even, how we might die. So I see this as a template. And it's really kind of like an archive as well, too, of all of our personal and ancestral memories, early life trauma and wounds from, former or imprints are stored in full color and intensity of emotions.
Yeah, I remember sort of some years ago when I've already learned quantum touch at this stage, but I've just never registered as a practitioner. And it was a follow-on sort of workshop, and they were talking about the energies of the inner aura as well as the outer aura. And somebody channeled the colors of that.
Yes, yes.
6 for the inner and 6 for the outer. Now, obviously, some people channel different information. They would come up with different colors. And I've just worked with those on a daily basis ever since I learnt about them, offering the energies of those colors, those auras, to boost them, I suppose, within myself. And I think the way I do it, I'm sure it was how we were taught, was to bring them in through our solar plexus, which I see being the core of our being. So
that's so very true. And also, Sarah, it's it's like a holographic in nature, if you will, and it has 4 multi-dimensional layers, and I'll just speak about them a little bit, and then I can tell you about the colors and what they represent. And so we have, these multi-dimensional layers that are extending outward from the body, okay? The causal, which is the spirit, the psychic, which is our soul, and the mental emotional, which is the mind, and of course the physical is the body. And so when we talk about the luminous energy field, it's the outer or membrane, if you can describe it that way as well too, that serves as kind of like this defensive cocoon in the same way that protects the skin of the body. And so imprints of physical trauma, for example, are stored in that outermost layer. Emotional imprints are stored in the secondary layer, and the soul imprints in the third, and of course, spiritual imprints in the fourth and the deepest layer. So when we talk about trauma, and that's any kind of trauma, and anything, I look at trauma this way and how I work with my clients, because trauma is different for everyone. It's not the same for everyone. It's anything that takes us out of our center, so that if we feel like we just can't really be ourselves. So any sensory negativity can cause trauma as well too. It could happen if someone leaves you, death or losing, all your money. That could be a traumatic experience as well too. And so when we talk about the colors and how we see that, shamans have for years, it's so many years, goes back, way back. Yeah. They have always known about this luminous energy field. And that's around how they go through helping heal not only themselves, but others as well, too.
Yeah, so with where trauma is concerned, it's especially with a child, who is to say what is traumatic to a child.
Exactly.
One word in the wrong type or whatever tone of voice can be so traumatic to a child. And it isn't for an adult to turn around and say, oh no, that's nothing, because you're not in that position of that child with the other experiences that they've had. You know, it's that old saying, isn't it? The straw that broke the camel's back.
Yes.
Yeah, who knows? And what one person can cope with, another can't. So you can't judge what is traumatic. There is no specific, this is the definition of trauma, and nothing fits outside. Yeah, that anything outside of that is not traumatic. Well, I'm sorry, you know, there is no finite definition of trauma, because we are all unique beings with our own experiences.
Absolutely. And, you know, and I'm glad you mentioned that too. We're leading now more into the scientific research around just overall energetic conditions for our health and disease and how that impacts us. You know, this is truly the luminous energetic field is truly energy medicine at its best. Okay, so it's really to create and maintain extraordinary health so that our health spans, you know, really equals our lifespan. So, and we can talk, you know, on and on, of course, about the, you know, cutting edge of neuroscience and all of that around neuroplasticity in the brain and so forth. But I thought it was just really important to just talk about the chakras, and I'm sure your audience may be familiar or may not, but this is all the centered around the chakras, and the chakras are the nervous system. And as we know, the endocrine system is all about the glands releasing hormones into the bloodstream. It helps control our mood, our growth, and our development, and the way our organs work. And similarly for the nervous system, you know, it's the energy. It's sometimes if it gets congested in the chakras, communication can be altered or affected, and the functioning of the organings, and sometimes resulting in disease. And so when the chakras are not in balance, then that's where we have that kind of that breakdown or backup of energy. And so shamans actually believe and work through 5 bands of energy. And I'm going to kind of talk about them a little bit. And then, of course, you know, we can have dialogue or questions or anything. But it's around weaving around energy. And again, I mentioned that it was like field is shaped like a torus, a geometrical shape, if you will, kind of like an egg around you. That this field is created, that comes in from the top of our head and down through the bottom of our feet. And it continues. It's a continuous flow. And so the 5 bands, kind of that weaving that band of energy, the first band is black. It's the color black. And it's represented by the first and the second chakra. So if you're, you know, down by your hip area and your lower stomach area is the first and second chakra. And it's the band is kind of woven over. If you think about putting some type of a band around you, black, and it represents the rich and dark and moist earth that is covering our first chakra. And then the second band is red. And the second chakra represents the blood of the mother, rivers, and waters of the earth as well. And you can think about that as kind of like that solar plexus area here in the mid part of the stomach area. And then the third band is sunlight. It's the heart chakra, that golden band that represents the sun, the sunlight. And then the fourth band is called wind, the throat chakra, our voice, our communication, okay? And then, of course, the fifth band is our third eye. It's the brightest, most intense white color that you can imagine. It's actually the hot burns at the very center of the sun. So it's pure fire. And so we have all the elements. We have earth, we have water, we have sun, we have wind, and pure fire. And so when we think about it, if you think about how a seed germinates inside the earth so that our black band brings in protection. But it brings in the element of earth into our system through its roots. And if we need to become more grounded, more connected to the earth, this band will provide us with this substance. And our, things like our projects, our ideas, things like that that germinate seeds and need to grow in the dark with water. And the red band, the water, moisture, the nurturing, the circulation. And this band really gives us this energy we need to grow. Sunlight, the band is what begins to feed the seed, and it pushes aside like a boulder of the earth around it and begins to move up higher as it responds to the sunlight given. And then, of course, the wind carries the seed to other places so that it can pollinate and spread to other places. And so even in my own practice, my own shamanic practices, it's feeling so connected, but that we are mirroring and really reflecting the natural process. And so the germinating of life is within us. And healing those wounds, whether they be from childhood or in adulthood, is how we can then begin to see ourselves visualizing. It's all about visualizing these 5 colors or bands, if you will.
I was thinking about the aspect of the throat and the wind and sharing your voice, which is what we're doing here. Yeah. Sharing your experiences that actually can be that seed for somebody else.
Yes.
Planting that seed of you're not on your own. You're not the only one to experience what you've experienced. You're not the only one to feel the way you feel or have felt. It is about knowing that you are not alone. And when we have the confidence to have grown sufficient to actually share our own voice, to be able to spread that word of love, of healing, of compassion, of understanding, so that people don't feel alone. And within the sharing can come an aspect of healing.
Yes.
Healing goes a lot deeper, and maybe there's an aspect of healing first before you can actually start sharing. But until you can share with somebody, with me, I work with people, you work with people, and helping people to share their story, to step into it, to acknowledge it so they can let go of it.
Yes.
It's about the letting go of the energy of the story, but not necessarily, and I don't really like this word, but it's the only one that's coming to my head at the moment, but the lesson of the story.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, in any type of traumatic experience, there are a lot of repressed emotions. And sometimes when we look at patterns or habits and things like that that we have in our own life, and we become aware of them, I think the first step is the awareness. We have to bring awareness to something, that something happened, and then notice, our reaction to it. My mother shared with me something very traumatic that happened to her, and she never said anything about it, but she mentioned when she did speak about it that it just came into her thoughts. It came in, why would I have this thought about something? Oh, something must have happened. That kind of opened up for her to say, what was it that I tried so hard to forget that happened, and acknowledge it. And that's when her voice, she started using her voice and expressing herself, because oftentimes there's fear sometimes around if we express ourselves, if we talk about what it was that happened to us. There's a fear of, what will others think of me, or will anybody believe me? Even if it happened years ago. But it's, excuse me, it's just the awareness that we bring to our healing that starts the process of healing. And so, but when we have these blockages in our, luminous energetic field, those repressed feelings, emotions, things like that don't have a chance to be expressed. That's why if we start with this luminous, our aura, our auric field, and clearing and cleansing that, allowing for that healing to come forth, is so very important.
It's honoring ourselves enough to say, okay, fine, yes, I am happy to, I wish to heal from this. And it can be done.
Yes.
It really can. I know, I've done it for me. So at deepest levels, it is possible to do that. But it's being open to an awareness of it. And our aches, pains, illnesses, ailments, stresses, strains are our body saying, excuse me, there's something to deal with.
Yeah. And, I think this too, the connection to not just our bodies, right? Where we're having a somatic experience, that feeling, the emotions in our body, and letting that out, and staying also grounded and connected too. It's so freeing, if you will, where we are, because the body holds on, our organs, all connected, are holding on to that. And so, like just putting your hand over your heart, right? Both hands over your heart, and, even moving it out a certain distance like this, and just allowing, taking a few deep breaths in, seeing that light around the heart chakra, right, can actually help to open it up. Or even if we're placing our hands over and we're actually seeing that bright light, and that's where all of our center of psychic, forces and abilities come through. It's just really simple things that you can do. You don't necessarily need anyone to do it for you. You can actually practice these energetic kind of healing releases, things like that, on your own. And I do it every day, because, it's just really tuning in to how you're feeling is important. And I know just, here recently with everything that's kind of going on in the world, keeping myself grounded no matter what is going on all around me. And that is sitting and meditating and being still and really connecting and grounding ourselves, seeing that, that luminous, that field all around us, all the way from the top of our head around into Mother Earth and back up again. So it's just a continuous flow, and just taking just a few minutes or, out of your day really to love yourself, nurture yourself as your whatever ritual practices you have, and just kind of start scanning your luminous energy can be so helping to keeping you grounded and connected.
And I think it is important. If you're out there, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, I don't have any practices. I get up in the morning, I go to bed at night. And I think we've all been there. We've all been in that, right, it's time to go to bed, just go to bed. It's time to get up, just get up. And for quite a few years now, I stick my roots down into the earth before I get out of bed. I actually do it twice a day because I do it when I'm getting ready to go to bed as well. I have a series of practices that have grown up over the years. As I've learned more, and I'm thinking, I like that. And every now and again, I like to body douse. If I haven't got my dowsing pendulum, I body douse. I ask my body, and I will say, should I still be doing this? And if I go forward, it's a yes. If I go backward, it's a no. Usually it's a yes, just keep going. And I've added new things to it. It's just like, but it's like all the different trainings that I've done, a little something, guests I've had on the program, a little something crops up. I think, oh, like the sound of that. Try that. And it's just like, all right, should I be doing this? Yes. Okay, fine. And grounding is important.
Yes.
Me, grounding is really important. I was only actually telling somebody earlier this week, as I started to learn Reiki and started to follow my path, my healing journey, and to do what I do now, I felt I was wandering around in lead boots. I was being kept right here. And then suddenly it clicked. If I grounded every day, so that's why I do it morning and evening. And by doing that and making sure I do it every day, the lead boots were taken away because it was important for me to stay here. So I would say, find what works for you. Be open to listening to many different things. There will be those things that resonate. And those things that resonate will have that beautiful effect on your aura, your chakras, your luminous energy field, on your body. They will support you.
Yes.
But go with what feels right for you.
Yeah.
And it's not a matter of, I'll do it for a week, I'll do it for 2 weeks, I'll do it for a month. I've been doing it now for years.
Consistency is so important. It is. It's in anything that we do, and to keeping us grounded. So a consistent practice, you can do it in the morning, in the evening, or in the middle of the day, whatever works for you. Just do it. Just do it.
Find the time of the day that does work for you. It works for me that, it's all done out of bed before I get into bed at night, but a good chunk of it is done in bed before I get up in the morning. Because I've found what works for me.
Yes.
And it is really important because, and I think we could even sort of necessarily touch on the immune system. The energies of what I do, the fact that I have exercise and try and get out for fresh air every day and a little bit of sunshine, providing we've got sunshine. and eat as healthfully as possible. You support the systems of your body, and that includes your immune system. The healthier you keep every aspect, your energy centers, your aura, your physical body, plenty of fresh water to drink, the more we
rest.
Yeah, the more we do that for ourselves, because the water can help flush the toxins out of your system. And if you are in the process of letting go of something, which will go when it is ready, then even the drinking of water can support the flushing of that out your system. And even if you remember what it was, you will slowly find that it doesn't have the same energies anymore. You can remember it without the pain, without the feelings. And so it's not about forgetting, it's about the letting go, having accepted it and having almost in some respects honored it for the gift that it will have brought you with the letting go.
Yes. And I say this all the time. The true healing happens when we learn to release the past and find hope again. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is, I hope that folks have really enjoyed this. And I know we had some little glitches, and we lost the odd word from you, but hopefully sufficient of it was there that people have got it. And do you have anything about the chakras on your website? Or
I also am a yoga nidra practitioner, so I don't have anything specific, but what I can do is I can share. I thought maybe we might have a little run out of time. What I can share is just kind of like a guided meditation through the 5 bands that we just talked about. And I can share that, and you can post that up as well, because it really is an act, a practice, and it will give you some guidance on what to actually do, how to place your hands, how to, just be in that energy, right? And feeling what it feels like. So I will share that with you or with your audience as well too.
No, that would be lovely. So, but okay, under the video, there will be, so if you're watching from YouTube, if you're watching the replay, then please go to the website. You'll find Leslie's information and her website there. You'll find it under the video if you're watching this from YouTube. It's all there shared, and you'll also find out a bit more about me if you wish to. By all means do. Yes, the chakras, I appreciate that. I hope that everybody that listens is aware. But please, do you know what? If you're not 100% certain, ask me, and we will go into an explanation. Happy to, and I'm sure Leslie would be too, because I remember when I was taught Reiki and they started talking chakras, and I hadn't got a clue what they were talking about. And I was far too shy at that point in time to say, what are you talking about? I'd say it now. I might be a little bit more diplomatic than what you're talking about, but so I think it's important. Yeah, please ask or go and look. Don't be afraid by some of the words that may have been used here. It's not difficult. And it's beautiful and enlightening when you do the research and find out. And you probably find out things we don't even know about. So, Leslie, thank you so very much for joining me. It has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. Yeah. Next week, we have got a today's conversation, which is grief and loss. what is it, and ways to support you through it. That's myself and Enolia as always, and we're being joined by Dr. Birgit Tan. So that, and Leslie is actually going to be joining us again at the end of April for a thoughtful nugget for today's conversation. Get it right, Sara. And we are going to be talking much more about trauma and the different types of trauma. So if you're thinking, oh yeah, trauma, yeah, yes, I think for me, I really wish people to realize that do not think that what you've been affected by isn't classed as trauma, because there's a very good chance it is. It may not be other people's definition of trauma, but it's probably mine. So we will be sharing again more to do with trauma, and with Leslie as well. So thank you, folks. Thank you for joining us. Please do join us again, and look forward to seeing you hopefully next week and at the end of April, if not before. Anyway, Leslie, thank you, folks, and see you soon. Bye. Don't forget we get kicked out, so I'll see you soon, Leslie. Bye.
Bye.